Patty, just raise your hand and then we can unmute you. Okay. Really quickly, I think that this is a CIO public comment. Ryan, have you had the chance to send the new link to CIOs? If not, here, I can send you the 2 emails and then we can just return to those comments later, no problem. Okay. Here we go. DMG their emails, perfect. So we'll move on to Matthew Carmichael for the bill on, or for the resolution on off-grounds housing contracts. Michael, are you here or do you want me to read your comment? Okay. I think I will just read Michael's comment. The standard repeated greediness and finding of residents for everything, the deceitful marketing strategies they use, the extremely high rent that they charge, the creepy racist security that they hire, the lying and fakeness of the management. And that is on SR 21-40. We'll now entertain Chloe Estrada, who is our director, one of our directors of community engagement on SR 21-40. Chloe, if you just raise your hand, we can call on you. Okay, you probably, I think you should be able to unmute yourself now.
Yes, I think that worked. All right, thank you. Hello, my name is Chloe Estrada, and I'm a co-director, like Abel said, of the Community Engagement Agency. And I'd like to voice my support for SR 21-40, which is the resolution to adopt the College Pads housing service. Our current off-grounds housing website does not have students' best interests in mind. Particularly, the site, which operates in partnership with apartments.com, prioritizes landlords by allowing them to autonomously sign up and list their properties on the site. Not only does this lead to an incomplete and ineffective list of properties for students to view, it also means that landlords are able to list without having to go through any screening measures. Students are thus unable to gauge the quality of landlords on the site and can be left disillusioned by their renting experience. In contrast, a College Pad site prioritizes renter education and students in multiple ways. In a College Pad site, reviews are viewable under each property listing, which means that students can learn from the experiences of past tenants and can avoid being blindsided by landlords. College Pads also offers robust renter education in the form of video modules, articles, and other media, which actively recognizes that many students are first-time renters. Further, through the use of a program where landlords have the ability to earn badges that are displayed on their property listings, students can continue to refine their search and make well-informed housing decisions. I believe strongly in the impact that a College Pad site can have on the bettering of the off-grounds housing search and experience. And our partnership with apartments.com currently does not serve students' needs because at its root, it prioritizes landlords over students. The operating model of College Pads and the numerous features that it provides can fundamentally change how students interact with off-grounds housing. So with confidence, I ask the representatives to vote in favor of this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Chloe. All right, we'll now entertain Sekum Apia Afori, who is going to speak on the resolution on the Whispering Wall. Sekum, if you just raise your hand, we can unmute you. Go ahead.
Hey, my name is Sekum. I'm the rising chair of the Minority Rights Coalition. Honestly, I'm so fucking tired right now. Like, I've said what I need to say. The university has obviously shown that they don't give a fuck about Black students. And I think, I don't know, I think this resolution is the least that Co could do, I guess. So I'm here in support of it. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, I'll now entertain Vivian Garcia, another director of our community engagement agency on SR 21-40. Vivian's not able to entertain the session live, actually, so I'm going to read the following statement on her behalf. Hi, everyone. My name is Vivian Garcia, and I'm the co-director of the Community Engagement Agency. Today, I will be speaking in support of SR 21-40. The university currently uses apartments.com for their off-grounds housing needs by helping students find off-ground properties, view property details, and providing rental resources and education for students. After meeting with Steve Catlin, director of College Pads, our agency has determined that it is time for UVA to switch from this inadequate partnership and site that they currently use to a more modern and reliable one with College Pads. Currently, the apartments.com site UVA uses only has 1/3 of the available housing options. Within the past month, Steve and his team have been able to find the remaining 2/3 of off-grounds housing options and have compiled them into a mock site that we could adopt. Not only does a partnership with College Pads benefit students by providing more housing properties, which could lower the average cost of rent because students would be able to weigh more options, but because they also have a dependable party that could hold leasing companies accountable. College Pads has vast experience holding landlords accountable by implementing badge programs that promote transparency between them and students, and updated review systems where students can rate and review their landlords honestly. All of these benefits are crucial to ensure students are well informed when making housing decisions and that landlords are held responsible for their behavior. On behalf of our agency and the student body, I ask all the representatives to vote in favor of this resolution to guarantee that students are given more clarity when it comes to signing leases and looking for off-grounds housing options. Thank you for your time and consideration. Thank you, Vivian. I'll now entertain Rourke Corson on SR 21-40 as well. Go ahead, Rourke. I think I just unmuted you.
Thanks, Abel. Hi, guys. I'm Rourke, the Deputy Director of Community Engagement, and I'd also like to speak in favor of SR 21-40, the resolution to support the adoption of College Pads for off-grounds housing. Historically, a lot of landlords in Charlottesville have track records of increasing housing prices for off-grounds locations, taking advantage of the fact that students don't have a lot of housing options. In turn, these price increases drive up housing prices in the surrounding areas, negatively impacting Charlottesville residents. Vivian mentioned College Pads badge system, where essentially if landlords meet certain requirements, the properties that are listed on College Pads will have badges next to their names. Recently, Student Council has been working on a fair rent pledge with the intention of having Charlottesville landlords agree to not raise prices unreasonably. This pledge is still being developed, but our agency thinks that partnering with College Pads could help us get off-grounds landlords to sign the pledge. College Pads could offer a fair rent badge to landlords that sign the pledge that Student Council drafts at a later date. Or signing a fair rent pledge could even be a prerequisite for being listed on the College Pads site. This is just one example of the many ways in which College Pads would advocate for housing equity and provide students with more transparency about the renting practices of local landlords. Thanks everyone for your time, and I hope you consider voting in favor of SR 21-40.
Thank you, Rourke. All right, Ryan, I'll entertain you. Ryan Alcorn, I'll also entertain you on SR 21-40.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan Alcorn. I am a rising fourth year. I'm also the chief of cabinet for Student Council. So I work on long-term lobbying efforts for the student body. I will be speaking in support of SR 21-40. I don't want to be duplicitous, or duplicitous. I don't want to repeat anything else that folks have already said, so I'll keep it relatively short. But I wanted to remind folks of the time, maybe in September or October of their first year, when they started to feel the pressure to sign a lease for the following year. And I know I went through that process. Not only was I uncertain about how I felt about the people I might be living with, because I didn't know them particularly well, but also the fact that I knew just about nothing about what a lease entailed, and if the people that were showing me different housing opportunities had my best interests at heart. I think from the other speakers, as well as conversations I've had with constituents, there are a lot of bad experiences signing leases, bad landlords not being responsive, things like that. So we do have a current service, as the previous speakers have said, that's apartments.com. It's not particularly thorough or comprehensive, but we have a solution, and that's College Pads. So not only does it offer that comprehensive list of leasings, it's got ratings and reviews by other students, educational materials, which would have been incredibly helpful to myself and to many others about how to read leases and what red flags to look for. And so part of the reason I wanted to speak is to emphasize the work that's coming from the Community Engagement Agency on this. So they're working directly with College Paths to make this happen. And with the legislation, we can show the university that it's time to make the switch to a better service. So thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you, Ryan. All right. I'll now call on Amanda Campbell, or Campbell, sorry. Amanda, if you just raise, oh, I found you. You're unmuted. Go ahead. Amanda, can you hear us?
Oh, wait, sorry. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Wait, sorry. I what were you asking me? My Wi-Fi is
Sure.
not so great.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. Thank you. It's your turn to share a public comment if you would like to.
Okay, on the Whispering Wall. Well, I think that in order to make UVA a more welcoming environment to students, I think that it should be taken down. And when we think about Confederate monuments, they came up like in the 1920s, generally across the country, the 1920s, the 30s. And it was a time when people were trying to intimidate Black people across the nation and make them scared. And so it's not even a celebration of history. It's really antagonistic. And I believe that they should be taken down. And I don't know what we can do beyond this point to push them to bring these walls down. Well, the Whispering Wall down, but I think that it's important.
Thank you. We'll now return to the earlier public comments. Is Patty Edorad here?
So I actually just got an email from her. She said she couldn't make it, but I don't know if she has the comment that she left.
No problem. I don't see one, but we can move on to the next one. I think Lauren Houseshare is here. Lauren, you can unmute yourself. Yeah, perfect. I think now.
Hi guys, my name is Lauren Hauser and I'm the founder of Student Athletes in McIntyre. I'll be speaking on behalf of my organization in favor of its vote for CIO approval. I founded the organization last year after struggling to balance the time commitments of athletics with the academic rigor that third year in McIntyre presents. And looking back on that year, I wish that an organization like this had been in place so that it could have connected me with peers who had already been through the same thing and could have given me mentoring advice when I was struggling, like when we were traveling for competition, when we had deliverables due. This organization is a student-led organization that aims to create a community of prospective, current, and former McIntyre student athletes, but obviously is open to anybody that wishes to be a part of it. The challenges that student athletes face while studying in McIntyre are unique, and this is why we've come together in order to offer support, connections, and general advice to help students get through this. We've built a support system that helps maximize this experience and helps students transition into and out of McIntyre. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Lauren. Awesome. Well, that is the end of our public comment session. So, Gabby, take it away.
Thank you. We will now enter legislative session. I will begin by calling roll. So when I call your name, just please raise your hand. Violet Cadet. Thank you. Nina Santana. Lillian Rojas. Thank you. Laura Aref. Thank you. Tyler Bush. Thank you. Tashara Robertson. Thank you. Christian Ephraim. Thank you. Ella Tinch. Thank you. Adrian Mamarel. Thank you. Jay Moody. Thank you. Rathika Kormath Ond. Thank you. Sarah Kirk. Thank you. Joshua Franklin. Rand Perry. Thank you. Alex Sheng. Jason Evans. Thank you. Isa Fortuno. Thank you. Elizabeth Cruz. Thank you. And Rafael Movsezian. Thank you. Now that the roll has been called, I will be entertaining our minutes from the last general body meeting, as well as the minutes from our last special session. So I'll begin with the minutes from the last general body meeting. I'll now entertain the minutes from our last general body meeting. Are there any comments, questions, or concerns about the minutes? I would look favorably upon a motion to vote. Christian?
Motion to vote.
Jason?
Seconded.
Are there any objections? If you have an objection, please raise your hand. Okay, seeing none, the minutes pass. I will now entertain the minutes from our last special session. Are there any comments, questions, or concerns about the minutes? I would look favorably upon a motion to vote. Ella?
Motion to vote.
Thank you. Sarah?
Seconded.
Are there any objections? If you have any objections, please raise your hand. Seeing none, the minutes pass. Okay, I will now entertain SB 21-37, a bill to amend the student activities fee guidelines, and I'll entertain Ryan to speak on this legislation.
Great, thank you. So I guess just like a little preface to this, I had been having a few conversations with some org leaders, and it seems like one of the concerns that I've heard a few times is that organizations feel they won't have the funding to start their activities as soon as the school year starts, because our soonest rolling round in the normal school year would be in September. And so a lot of them would have to essentially purchase the things they need and then get reimbursed. And a lot of organizations, I just don't think can afford to do that. So this bill is mainly to kind of restructure the SAF guidelines and revise the rules so that we can prepare for that summer funding round. Some of the most noteworthy changes are like we've reformatted much of the rules so that it's more clear like where each rule fits in. And we've also kind of given examples and tried to really specify what we mean. We've also gotten rid of most of the COVID restrictions that were in place in the SAF guidelines, just because a lot of the events we're going to be funding are going to be like in the first month of school. And we feel that since basically everyone's going to have to be vaccinated to return, that we can kind of reduce those rules. We've added some requirements on environmentally friendly alternatives and a ban on single-use plastics. This section will still have to be expanded in the future. But again, we kind of just wanted to at least have something down for the summer funding round. And we've also afforded CIOs some ability to use like SAF money that we give to them to fundraise, since oftentimes they cannot fully fund their expenses with the SAF money alone. And so again, we hope to just give them some money so they can get the ball rolling for the next semester through this summer funding round. And then that's kind of the context of this SAF guidelines bill.
Thank you, Ryan. Are there any comments, questions, or concerns about this bill? If you have, just raise your hand. Okay, seeing none, I would look favorably upon a motion to table. Christian?
Motion to table.
Tashara?
Second.
Are there any objections? If you have an objection, please raise your hand. Okay, seeing none, the bill is tabled. I will now entertain SB 21-38, a bill to approve newly created contracted independent organizations, and I'll entertain Ryan to speak on this legislation.
Awesome. Thank you again. Yeah, I guess before I even start, I just want to say thank you to everyone, especially for being so cooperative with our timeline, especially to the 7 orgs that had to wait until now to hopefully get recognized. Not the normal timeline, but yeah, I appreciate it, all your guys' patience. But yeah, so on the specific 7 orgs themselves, myself and the org rec committee team have reviewed their application several times. They've not only met all of our requirements, but they've also been extremely cooperative with us and with our timeline. Again, I really appreciate their patience, and I think their cooperativeness and their willing to still stick with everything really speaks to their enthusiasm and their willingness to really engage with the university community going forward as a CIO. And so with all that said, yeah, we recommend these organizations for CIO status.
Thank you, Ryan. Are there any comments, questions, or concerns about this bill? Seeing none, I would look favorably upon a motion to vote. Ella? Tashara? Oh, wait, sorry, Ella.
Motion to vote.
Thank you, Tashara.
Second.
Thank you. We will now vote. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Thank you. Please put your hands down. All of those opposed, please raise your hands. Okay. All of those abstaining, please raise your hands. Thank you. SB 21-38 passes. I will now entertain SR 21-39, a resolution denouncing the university's decision to rededicate rather than remove the Whispering Wall. And I'll entertain Tashara to speak on this legislation.
Can you guys hear me? Okay, cool. Good evening. I am here today to ask you all to vote in favor of SR 21-39, a resolution denouncing the university's decision to rededicate rather than remove the Whispering Wall. The Frank Hume Memorial Wall, commonly known as the Whispering Wall, is a structure honoring Frank Hume, a Confederate soldier and former VA delegate. The Confederacy, as we know, fought to maintain and uphold white supremacy and slavery as an institution in the South. This legacy of white supremacy still has a hold on the university, and the presence of this structure is a reminder of that. The Minority Rights Coalition, an umbrella organization representing 10 marginalized student organizations, has fought tirelessly to get this structure removed from our grounds. The MRC has spoken up at a public listening hearing along with multiple students and community members in support of this removal. They have reached out to multiple faculty and staff involved with equity on grounds in support of this removal. And most impressively, at the beginning of 2020, they circulated a petition in support of completely removing the wall, which has been signed by over 2,000 students. The naming committee and board of visitors opted to repurpose the memorial, which blatantly ignores the calls from the MRC and other students on grounds. Rebranding it by adding multicolored blocks does not erase the history of racism and white supremacy that this memorial holds. In my opinion, it further perpetuates this legacy of white supremacy, as it shows that the university was given the opportunity to support its Black students and chose not to. The naming committee rationalizes that this decision will neither erase nor change history, but that it will also align more closely with the university's values. The Code of Ethics mission statement highlights the university's values as honor, integrity, trust, and respect. But to me, these values are not present in this decision. They claim that this change will promote nuanced and complex historical understandings and occasional debate, which is disheartening because it implies that this glorified image of the Confederacy can be continuously displayed in the case that it provokes intellectual debate. The fight does not end here. The MRC has put out a statement condemning this decision and urging the board to reverse it. Recently, the Charlottesville City Council voted unanimously to remove the Robert E. Lee and Stonewall Jackson statues. This decision could not have been made without the endless fight put up from Black organizers in the Charlottesville community. I ask that you all consider Black organizers within our own university, namely members of the MRC and support their demand to create a welcoming community for Black students. I hope you all vote tonight to hold the university accountable. Thank you.
Thank you, Tashara. Are there any comments, questions, or concerns about this resolution? Ella?
I'd just like to second everything that Tashara just said and thank the MRC for all of their hard work in trying to get this Confederate memorial completely removed. I firmly believe that rededication is the easy way out. UVA is clearly not listening to students that this monument most directly affects. And I think UVA is making an out-of-pace decision with the times and with its students and with the surrounding community. I think there's no need for this memorial to exist in any capacity. Rededication does not change the memorial's significance. And again, it's just an easy way out. And I would like to see this memorial completely removed. And again, thank you to all the students who have worked so hard in fighting for this memorial to be completely removed.
Thank you, Ella. Abel?
Thank you. Sorry, my raise hand function doesn't work. I would like to second the last two speakers, encourage everyone to read the Minority Rights Coalition's original petition, as well as their most recent statement on the repurposing of the Frank Hugh Memorial. The only additional commentary I would like to add is that in the 2-hour listening session that the Committee on Naming Memorials held, over 20 individuals, including students, alumni, and members of the general University in Charlottesville community, called for the wall's removal. There was not a single speaker in favor of repurposing, rededicating, or maintaining the wall. So I wonder who the university and this committee is listening to in making this decision and going against all public indications that I see in terms of the future of this wall. Thank you.
Thank you, Abel. Are there any other comments, questions, or concerns? Seeing none, I would look favorably upon a motion to vote. Jason?
Motion to vote.
Thank you. Sarah?
Seconded.
Thank you. We will now vote on this resolution. All of those in favor, please raise your hands. Thank you. Please put your hands down. Thank you. All of those opposed, please raise your hands. Thank you. And all of those abstaining, please raise your hands. Thank you. SR 21-39 passes. And I will now entertain SR 21-40, a resolution supporting adoption of the Rent College Pads housing service. And I'll entertain Rand to speak on this legislation.
Hey everyone, hope you're having a good weekend. So just to reintroduce myself, my name is Rand Perry and I represent the Batten School. So I'm speaking in support of this resolution SR 21-40. And as we all know, one of the most pressing issues here at UVA is the difficulty that students have in finding accessible, affordable housing. As we've heard from some of the speakers earlier today, students, especially first-year students, often sign off-grounds leases very early in the fall with extremely limited information available to them. Students often report difficulties such as sky-high rents and predatory landlords as well. The Community Engagement Agency recently approached me to talk about their efforts to increase the affordability and accessibility of housing for students here at UVA. As we've heard, but just to give a little bit of recap, the university operates an official off-grounds housing site in a partnership with Apartments.com. However, the university's contract with Apartments.com expires at the end of 2021. And the Community Engagement Agency introduced me to Rent College Pads, which already serves students at many universities nationwide, including UT Austin, Washington State and George Mason here at Virginia. And both the Community Engagement Agency and I believe that adopting Rent College Pads after the university's current contract expires will meaningfully benefit students and lead to much better housing outcomes. So I lay out some of these improvements in the resolution, and you've heard some of them already from some of the previous speakers, but just to elaborate on some. Rent College Pads carries a much larger catalog than the current service, listing about 3 times the number of properties as the current site, which would allow students a much fuller range of housing options, some of which may be cheaper than what's currently listed on the university's website. It contains a built-in education platform and a badge program. For example, if a landlord signs off on a fair rent pledge, they can have a fair rent badge displayed for easy identification for students. And the payment of the service is also extremely important. Rent College Pads will not charge UVA for its services. Instead, landlords who meet certain minimum requirements would pay College Pads to have their properties listed on the site. And the timing for this resolution is also important. It's important to pass this resolution now to begin lobbying the university administration soon, as the university's contract with the current provider expires at the end of the year. So all in all, this new platform would be a cost-effective way to bring us closer to the goal of ensuring every student has access to an affordable place to live and the information they need to make an informed housing decision. And I hope my fellow representatives will join me in voting in favor of this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Rand. Are there any comments, questions, or concerns about this resolution? Violet?
Hi, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I have horrible Wi-Fi right now. I just wanted some clarification on if and who the CIO and those connected to this organization, this resolution, talk to in Housing Residence Life, considering they have a lot of experience, not only with on-grounds housing, but off-grounds housing. And if so, what was their response to these ideas?
Rand? Oh, actually, I will call on Abel first.
Thanks. I just love one quick clarification. What CIO are you referring to, Violet, before I can answer your question?
Violet.
I just meant the people in charge of this resolution. CIO was the wrong word. Sorry.
Yes. So the Community Engagement Agency had talked to me a little bit about how they've tried to reach out a little bit to Housing Residence Life so far, but they've had some difficulty connecting with them, but are still in the active process of trying to get feedback and more information from them as well. However, the main idea with this resolution is to get just a statement of support so that student council and other bodies can advocate for it in front of HRL as well. So it's not like a binding contract or commitment, but a launching pad for future advocacy. And it's important to note that the student council's Community Engagement Agency vetted the service extensively as well.
Abel?
I just wanted to thank Violet for her question. I think that was a really important point of clarification. And I do know that this agency has made an effort to connect with Housing Residence Life, and I think we'll have an even greater chance of doing that successfully if we do have a statement of support. So that might be another reason to pass this resolution. It could help grease those wheels, so to speak.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Are there any other comments, questions, or concerns about this resolution? Thank you. Seeing none, I would look favorably upon a motion to vote. Jay?
Motion to vote.
Thank you. Rand?
So I would second that.
Thank you. We will now vote on this resolution. All of those in favor, please raise your hands. Oh. Okay. Thank you. Please put your hands down. All of those opposed, please raise your hands. Okay, and all of those abstaining, please raise your hands. Thank you. SR 21-40 passes. And I will now read the vote count from the current session. SB 21-37 was tabled. SB 21-38 passed with 15 yeas, 0 nays, and 1 abstention. SR 21-39 passed with 16 yeas, 0 nays, and 1 abstention. And SR 21-40 passed with 16 yeas, 0 nays, and 1 abstention. We will now exit legislative session.
Thank you so much, Gabby. I really appreciate that. Great legislative session. Thank you, representatives, for coming to a meeting on Sunday evening in the summer. Not even mentioning that it's Father's Day, if you do observe that day. In any case, have a good rest of your evening, and we will see you all next month in late July. Gabby, you can gavel us out if you want to.
Yeah, we will now exit. We will not. I now adjourn this meeting.
Fantastic.